Hey guys, welcome to the Rholang Crash course video. If you're a beginner programmer in Rholang or you've not written any Rholang program, then this video is exactly for you. And even if you've written one or two programs in Rholang, then feel free to go over the terminologies here once again. Okay, so for the Cooperation Laboratory, we have a Discord server which we use in communicating and organizing our activities. Most recently, we're migrating to the social ledger in Mattermost, and we hold Rholang classes every Tuesdays at 9 p.m. GMT using the Zoom link you could see on your screen. Then, if you feel this video has helped you in any way or this video is valuable to someone, then I would urge you to donate to the addresses you could see on your screen. You could donate Ether, you could donate Bitcoin, you could donate rocks or whatever you feel it's convenient for you because this work is purely on voluntary basis, so we don't get paid for these activities. Okay, so now on to what we have today. So what is Rholang? Rholang is the programming language for use with the R-chain blockchain. It is a process-oriented language. It can be used to write smart contracts. It is basically about sending processes and receiving names. And Rholang is also used to build dApps that will run on our chain. And Rholang programs are concurrent in nature, which means that all the programs in the Rholang codes occur at the same time as against other programming language that are sequential or have an order or occur one after the other. Okay, so these are the fundamentals of Rholang. We have free names, we have sends, we have unforgeable names, we have the print into the console, we have receiving, we have quoting and unquoting, we have the communication event or com event for short, we have the logical operators, the arithmetic operators, the for operator, the new operator, the power operator, we have the conditionals, we have patterns, we have data structures, and we have contracts. Okay, then for the development environment options, basically there are three for now. We have the CryptoFX, we have our chain cloud, which is a text-based editor. CryptoFX is a desktop-based editor, and then we have our node, which is the our chain nodes software you could use. But for now, we will be sticking to the first two. Um, I'll also release a video which will show you how to run our node and how to evaluate or deploy Rholang codes to our node. Okay, the very first thing we're going to do is an introduction to our various development environments. Now, this is the CryptoFX blockchain IDE used for building both our chain and Ethereum projects with Solidity. What you have to do is fill in your first name, last name, and email, and then you hit the download button. Okay, so I don't think there's any other thing here. So I already have CryptoFX installed, so that's why I won't go over this process again, but I think it's a pretty straightforward process. So the next thing is our chain cloud. So on the left hand side, you fill in your code, you hit the run button, and then it produces an output on the right hand side. Okay, then finally we have the Node software. So I'm going to do a video on how you can install and run Node, and also how you could deploy and evaluate Rholang codes to the RChain node. Okay, the very first thing we're going to do is to create our project folder. So I'm going to hit this project icon here, then hit create new projects. Then we'll create our project, click OK, go to file, click new, and then we'll save. Let's call this class.rho, which is the file extension for Rholang programs, and then hit the save. Okay, so now we're going to be talking about free names first. Now, free names are names that are not bound by any send, any receive, or any other thing in your Rholang program. So they can be reused at any point in your Rholang program. So there is no lexical scope or there is no limit to the way they can be used. So they can be used anywhere, and it's also referred to as public names. Okay. So the syntax we write in the free name is by using the at and then quotes, then the name of the channel inside it. So we have channel. It could be anything. You could call it anything of your choice. You could call it channel. You could call it my name, David. You could call it whatever you think is. It's gonna give you a reminder of what the name does. Or and now also it's very important to note that channels and names in Rolang are the same thing. So channels mean names, names mean channels. So you could either call it a name or you could call it a channel. What I'm going to do now is a send. So you send using the bank and then curly braces and whatever you want to do inside of curly braces. It could be a string, it could be a number, it could also be a process that you want to compute. This is how sending is done in Rolang. Now we've looked at the free name or public names. We've also looked at send. We run this. If we scroll up, you could see at channel and also a channel inside of your storage content. So it's important to note this because we're going to see the difference between the public names and the unforgeable names right there in our storage contents. Okay, so I'm going to clear this. Now we're going to look at unforgeable names. Now we create unforgeable names using the new operator. So I'm going to say new channel in, and then braces. Okay, so I'm going to take out the quotes and ats. Then run this program. So if we should check evaluated program. Now instead of having at channel, we could see x0 here. And in the storage contents, we can see unforgeable name. So what this tells you now is that this is a private name that can only be used within the lexical scope of the braces, meaning that outside this, it shoots through an error. So right there in the storage contents, you can see unforgeable names. Now that is the difference between the free names or public names and then the bound names or unforgeable names. So it's important you know the difference between the two of them. The next thing we're going to do is how to print to the console. So we're going to say print. Now you could call this anything you want to call it. You could call it show, you could call it console. It doesn't matter. So the name doesn't matter. You could call it whatever you want to call that. So I'll say console, then open up brackets, use backticks, and then say row colon IO colon standard out, and then change this name here to console. If we clear and then run this, okay, scroll up. Now you can see hello printed. Remember the previous time we did this, whatever was sent was not printed this way. So this is how you print to the console in Rholang. All right, so let's make this a little official and say hello world. Hello world happens to be the first program that is written almost every programming language for a beginner programmer. Okay, so you could see hello world written there in the console or printed. So remember, printing to the console is done by using backticks and then row colon IO colon standard out or STD out. Okay, the next thing we're going to look at is um, how to receive a message in Rolang. So I'm going to clear this out. Okay. And then I'm going to start with receiving a free name. So I'm going to do it outside of this lexical scope. To say for message, remember you could call this whatever you want to call it. So it doesn't have to be MSG. It could be message. It could be whatever you want to call it then. using the back arrow, then we say at channel, then braces, then you have to do something of inside. You have to do something inside the receive. If not, you're gonna get a syntax error. Okay, so we're getting the syntax error because there has to be something inside of the receive. Okay, so I'm gonna copy this now, paste it inside because I want the receive to be for a bound name. So we're gonna take out the quotes, say message to channel. So what this means is that channel is receiving a message. Now that we've gone over sending and receiving a process in Rholang, let's go over a communication event, which is a COM event for short, where you send a process or a message and then you receive the process or message with the same channel or the same name. So we're going to send a process, a string, hello world, and now we're going to receive that same process or message and channel. Also note that processes and messages in Rholang are the same thing. A process is like a message. Okay, so one thing I want to talk about now is quoting and unquoting names and processes. In Rholang, you use the at to quote a process into a name, and then you use the asterisk to quote a name into a process or a message. So we're going to say console, we're going to log to the console or print to the console rather, message. Now note that we're using the asterisk because on line 5, message MSG is a name, and on line 6, MSG is a process or a message. Okay, now we're getting the syntax error because we're missing the par operator, which is used to create concurrency or to make programs run concurrently in Rholang. So now that we've added the par, which is just a straight line, it means that the send on line 3 and the receive on line 5 will happen at the same time. That is, it will happen concurrently. Okay, so we're going to run this, clear and then run. Okay, then scroll up. Now you can see the message printed, the hello world message or process printed in your log or console. It's really important for you to know what I said about quoting and unquoting. So I'm going to write a comment here. So say to quote a process to a name, you use the at, and then to quote a name to a process, you use asterisk. Okay, so that's it for quoting and unquoting processes and names. Let me clear this out and then show you how to make an ordered or sequential program or write a sequential program in Rholang as against the concurrent nature of Rholang. So we're going to add two new channels, an acknowledgement channel and a standard out acknowledgement channel. So we're going to send a message or a process on channel saying I am the first. What I'm going to do now is to listen on the acknowledgement channel, but then use a new process, which means do nothing, which means that we want to let the Rholang know that we're listening for a message, but then we don't want to listen for any particular message, so we just want to do nothing. Okay, so then inside of the receive process, we want to send a new message or a new process on the same channel. Okay, we'll want to say I am next. Then we want to receive both messages on channel. So we're going to receive the two messages we've sent on channel and then print to standard out acknowledge the message So I'm going to quote message on line 9 and then write message, and also want to send the acknowledgement channel as a process. So I'm going to say acknowledge. Note that we're using the asterisk because acknowledge is a channel, so we want to quote that into a process. Okay, so let's run this. Scroll up. Oops, we're just printing just one of it. We're printing the first. Let's see. Okay, let's see where that is coming from. Yeah, I think the problem is because we're not making a persistent listen or a persistent receive on channel, so that's what is making it print just one of the messages. So we'll still get to persistence in Rholang, that is making persistent send and receive. Okay, so let's run this now and then scroll up. Now you can see that the two messages are now being printed. Okay, so that is because we've introduced a persistent listen to channel. So all right, so we can add a third message. So let's say for acknowledge channel, and then I am third. Okay, if we run this now, we're going to see that it will print them according to the way we've written them. So it's printed I am first, I am next, and I am third. So if we were to write this program without the acknowledgement channel, then we won't be able to tell which will be printed before the other. But because we're using acknowledgements, it makes the program occur in an order or take a sequence. Okay, so, let me clear this out. Take out the acknowledgement channel also. So leave this at print, take out ACK. And then let's go into operator. So we'll be starting with arithmetic operators. Okay, in Rholang we have the addition, we have subtraction, I have division, and finally there is multiplication. Then there's the join operator also, which is a semicolon, and the new operator like we've seen earlier, which is used to create unforgeable names. All right. Also, we have the par operator for concurrency, and then logical operators, which includes and or. Okay, so then let's look at some examples for each of this operator. I think we've already looked at the example of the new operator, the par operator, so to just be for the others we have. So let me take this out and then do a send on channel. We're going to start with the addition, so I'm going to say 10 plus 5. Okay, let's make that print rather than channel. So then scroll up. Now you can see what is being printed is a compute of 10 and 5. That's 10 plus 5, which is 15. So we'll have subtraction. Okay, so we'll scroll up also. So now we can see 5, that's 10 minus 5. I'll have division now. So say 10 divided by 5. Scroll up. Now I have 2. And finally, let's see multiplication. Run that. So we could see 50. So these are the various arithmetic operators that we have currently at the moment in Rholang. The next thing I'm going to go over now is the join operator. We've gone over the new operator, we've gone over the power operator, we've gone over arithmetic operators. So let's go over the new operator, which is used to join two listens, that is to make two receives, to listen for two messages on two different channels in one receive. Okay, so we're going to create new channels. I'm going to say chan 1, chan 2, chan 3, chan 4. I think that's okay. Then we're going to send messages in each of these channels. So I would say chan 1, and then the first message, so say first, then a par, say chan 2, say second, the power operator. Also always remember to use your power operator when you have in subsequent programs. I say chan 3, then say third, then chan 4, oops, chan 4, and that is, now I'm gonna indent every one of this to make it look a bit better, to make it straight line, and then we're gonna listen for all these messages using the join operator. So let's say message 1, chan 1, join, message 2, chan 2, join, message 3, chan 3, join, and message 4, chan 4. So now I'm gonna print these messages as a string. So say message 1, message 2, message 3, and then message 4. Remember, okay, so let's run this. Now I changed message 3 to the asterisk because, or message 2 rather, because I just wanted to show you how the quoting and unquoting works. So right there in the log, you can see the each of the messages printed: first, second, third, and last. All right. So this is how the join operator work in Rholang. Okay, so now you don't have to unquote any of the messages for it to work. It's just, I just wanted to show you how it works. So you could just leave every one of them the way, without quoting or unquoting. Okay, I'm going to clear this out now, and then we're going to look at persistent send, persistent Rholang in general, starting with the persistent send. So to do a persistent send, you use the double bank as against one bank for a regular send. So I'm going to say I'm persistent inside of this. All right. So we're going to listen for this message, or yeah, for this message I'm persistent on chan 1, and then print the message. Okay, so let's run this. Oops, we're getting an error, so I have to quote this. Oh, I forgot to quote that, so let's rerun this again. Scroll up. Now we could see the message. So I'm going to copy this and then paste it. and then paste that again, copy and paste, copy and paste. So what I want to do is to listen for the messages several times, but you will still observe that the message would still be printed on each occasion. If it were to be a regular send, then the first listen or receive, it's supposed to consume the initial send. But since it's a persistent send, even if you were to have an infinite numbers of listen or receive, it still won't. It will keep printing or listening for the send, or rather, you'll still have more messages being sent on Chan one. So, as a side note, don't ever make a persistent send and a persistent receive. That could lead to an infinite loop. Okay, I'm gonna clear this out now, and then we're gonna do a persistent receive. So I'm gonna take out the persistent send. So say for message, for persistent listen, instead of having one dash, we're gonna change that an equal to. So then we're gonna print the message. Now, no matter the number of messages, no matter the number of messages or processes we send on Chan 1, it will keep being printed as long as we have a persistent listen or a persistent receive. So I'm going to copy this out, copy this, then send something else. Let's say I am good. So then do another send and yet another send. So there's something I want you to observe that is a bit different from when we're doing sequential send. Now, for this kind of sends, you can't tell the way each of the programs will be printed. You can't tell which will be first, which will be second, which will be third, which will be fourth, unlike the way the sequential programs work using the acknowledgement channel. So each time you get to run this, you would see that their positions change. Remember previously, good was the third, now it's the second. If we should run it again, you would see that the position would change once again. That is because the program is occurring concurrently, so no one is coming before the other. Now, there is another way you could do a persistent receive. It's called the syntactic sugar for a persistent receive. You could do that using contract. So we could say contract chan1, then give it an argument of message, and then say equal to the process inside. So we could now say print message. So this is syntactic sugar for persistent receive, and it's the same thing as a persistent receive. So if we run that also, we should still have the same result. Now you can see that I am good is printed as the fourth message. So it will just keep having random positions because the program is concurrent. Okay, so let me clear this out, and then let's look at conditionals in Rholang. So we're going to write a conditional program that if we get the username, a simple login contract that if you get the username and the password correctly, it should print out login successful. Whereas if the username or the password is wrong, it should say incorrect login. So I'm going to register, I'm going to create new unforgeable names, username, password, and we're going to give login an argument of username. Okay, so you know what? Let's make let's make just login to be. Let's create login as an unforgeable name and then just pass in username and password as arguments. So inside here, we're gonna use an if-else statement now. Let's say if username is equal to David and password and password is equal to virtual reality. I'm a huge fan of virtual reality, so that's why that's my password. But this isn't the password of any of my devices. So, okay, so print, we could print out, let's that print login successful. Else, it should say um, incorrect. Oops, we need to put that as a string. It should say incorrect or invalid rather username or password. So if we go there now and then try to log in, say login David and password virtual reality. Okay. Let's run this. Oops, we're having a syntax error. Okay, that is we're missing par or a power operator. So let's run this once again. Scroll up. Now you can see that it's saying invalid username because it's case sensitive. The D in conditional was a small d and we wrote a capital D. But if we should run this now, if we run this now, it should print out the correct, should print out login successful now. Yeah, that's it. It's printed out login successful because both conditions are satisfied. So this is now we're looking at two things at the same time. We're looking at the logical operator and we're also looking at conditionals or the if else statement in Rholang. Remember, if else is also syntactic sugar for a two-way pattern match. We're still going to look at pattern matching or matching. So, all right, right there in your evaluating, you could see match, which goes to show that if else is just a Boolean pattern match that just has true or false arguments. All right, now let's change this instead of and to or, which means that if any of the conditions are met, it should print out login successful. So if either the password is correct or the username is correct, then it should say login successful as long as one of the conditions is met. Now we've looked at the and for and the two conditions must be met before the correct program will be run, but for or any of the conditions can be met. Next, we're going to look at matching or pattern matching proper. Remember, if else is also a form of pattern matching in Rholang. It's a simple two-way pattern match that just has true or false arguments. But for the normal pattern match, you could match as many conditions as you want to. So now let me create a new channel, let's say random. So I'm going to say listen for random, and then we're going to match that. We're going to match message. So the first thing we want to match is if message is Call of Duty. Now I love games a lot. I play a lot of video games. So excuse my use of video games title. So Call of Duty. So if message is Call of Duty, it should print let me say Red Daniels, which is the main character in World War II, Call of Duty. And then if message is FIFA, it should print UEFA license. Thirdly, if a message is our chain, it should print blockchain. Remember, for matching, it doesn't always have to be strings. It could be integers such as numbers. It could be whatever you want to match. So I'm going to match a number. So 22, then it should print David's age. Okay, so these are the four match patterns that we have, meaning that if we send a message on random with any of these conditions, then it should print the associating message that we have. So I'm gonna say random 22. Uh, Oops. Okay, this is supposed to be forward, not backward. Yeah. So these are supposed to be backward, forward. That's why we're getting the syntax error, and also we're missing the par operator. Now everything is okay. So let's run this and then scroll up. Now you can see David's age being printed. So if we change this to any other of the arguments that we gave, let's say FIFA, that should print for us UEFA license. Scroll up. So this is the UEFA license. So this is how pattern matching work in Rholang basically. That's that for that. Let me clear this out and then let's look at data structures. So I'm going to say contract um, welcome. So we want to create a basic welcome contract that should tell us our names, hello and our name. So we're going to print the first one, the first data structure we're looking at is concatenation. So we're going to print firstly a string hello and also concatenate that to name. So this should print for us whatever name you input, it should print hello and then the name that you wrote. So let's say welcome and then my name, David. Run this. Oops, we're getting an error. So we're supposed to make that a string. A string. Let's rerun that. Okay, so no errors. Now you can see hello David, but without a space. So to make a space appear, we'll have to concatenate with a space, that is using double quotes and then space. So to give space between the two words, so say hello David, now you can see a space in between them. So this is how concatenation work in Rholang. The next one we're going to look at is interpolation. So let me clear this out, or comment this out rather. That's better. Then let me use interpolation to print, say hi, then name, dollar name. Okay. Then the name is David. Okay, so this is interpolation. We're interpolating the name, a string and a name. So say hi David. So all right, there you have it. We have gone over the fundamentals of programming in Rholang. So stay tuned to our YouTube channel for more videos like this, and also use the Rholang or the RChain interactive learning application to grow your skills or become a better programmer in Rholang. So that's it for today. Till next time.